announcement because of the books out there. You want to say?
I will say on behalf of Itai that by an act of generosity, Itai offers to the one who are interested his book that he wrote, some poems.
You can say in Hebrew, Leora.
Okay.
Because I already know.
איתי מציע לנו ספר שירים שהוא כתב, הוא ישים את זה בחוץ שהוא פרסם. מי שרוצה לקנות אותו, הוא מציע שאת הדנה, את התמורה, ישים בקופסת הדנה של יהודי הדרמה. אז אם אתם רוצים, תודה רבה איתי.
Okay, so we come to the last bit of this kind of heavy weekend that should make you very light by seeing that things are not existing the way they are. So we come to this, what is called the 4-point analysis. So there's 4 points to that. So the first point is you have to know what is called the object of refutation. Okay? To really define what is being said is not there. So it is not being said that the pen is not there. Nobody says that. It is not being said also that the pen exists from its own side, though, even though it's here. What is being negated is inherent, real, independent, permanent, autonomous existence of this pen and of the I. Okay? Do you understand? There is an I. And at the beginning, at the end that one I is also going. But at the beginning one says, there is no separate I from body and mind. Self-sufficient, kind of operating under its own power. Can an I function without a mind? Well, obviously not. Can an I walk without a body? I walk, I sit, I eat. Can it do that without a body? Well, obviously not. If it could do it, then it would be autonomous, independent, okay? So that kind of I is rejected, yeah? Okay? So we need to really know what doesn't exist. Or a very good example they give you is when you are in a shop and, in a department store and they have an alarm system. So you're walking out of the door and then the alarm goes off and everybody looks at you and goes, thief. Then you would feel it. Especially when we are accused. Rightly, we also feel it. Wrongly, we definitely feel it, as if we never make any mistakes. Yeah, when you are accused wrongly, your I comes up as if you never lie, you never cheat, you always help others, you're totally compassionate, isn't it? It feels so hurt when somebody accuses you of being selfish. Yes or no? Mm-hmm. As if we are not selfish. We are. We're all selfish. It's okay. Yeah, we're trying not to be, but we are. So much better to admit it than you're not getting hurt when somebody accuses you. And you say, yeah, I know, and I'm trying not to be, but this is it. It's a habit. And I'm trying and I'm practicing not to be so selfish. Thank you for telling me. Okay, so that's the first step. Yeah. So you're looking for that one. You are searching for that I. If you just, a situation like that, it appears, it comes up. So that one we target, that one we're trying to see. And it feels real. When somebody accuses you wrongly, I did not do this, is a very real feeling. Do you agree? Yes. And you see what I'm talking about? Yes. Yeah? Now it's not present, obviously. Unless you're getting very nervous and saying, oh, why can't she explain this in a better way so that I understand? Yeah, then it starts to come up. But if you just listen and you're relaxed, it's not there. That's the conventional I. So this is what they say in the more coarser, there's a coarse level of selflessness, but there's also a subtle level of selflessness. So the coarse level of selflessness is, first step, we start to see, yes, there is an I, and the I is kind of the body and the mind together, but not separate from it. It feels as if it's separate from it. Okay? So if something exists, you need to find it. Right or wrong? If you can't find it, it doesn't exist. Yeah? So in order for something to exist, there is two different ways that it can exist. It is either oneness with the parts, or it is separate from the parts. Something more than the parts. Separate from the parts. Do you understand this? Anybody can say this in Hebrew, maybe, so that we're sure that we are...
להיות אחד עם החלקים או בנפרד מהם?
Yeah? I don't know. Gidi?
Sounds simple.
Huh?
Not something.
Not complicated? No? Okay.
Words are not complicated.
Okay, words are not complicated. Do you see what it means? A mode of existence. In order to exist, we have to find it. Where can we find it? We find it as either the same as the parts, like oneness with the parts, or separate from the parts. Can you think of a third mode of existence? Huh? Both doesn't make sense. Again, both is contradicting, is saying white is black and black is white. Is it white or black? No, it's both. No, both is not possible. But one goes actually to the extreme to see it is not oneness, it is, but anyway, I don't want to give him the answer. Okay, can you think of okay, we can look, is it both? Or we can look, is it neither? So we have four, but let's keep it simple here. Yeah. Oh, you have to speak much louder than that.
Okay. You were saying if we experience the parts as we are one.
Well, the parts in this case, if you look at the self, the parts are what?
I don't know, but I'm asking if the experience is not valid to know that something exists. If we can trust our feeling.
Well, the feeling is yes, it's there, but then you use your logic. Is it really there? Does it exist the way that it appears? Did you look at the spider outside? Does that spider look real? Is the spider truly on top of that end of that thing? So can we trust our senses?
No. For existence to be there,
yeah.
One of the things is to experience it.
No. In order for something to exist, you have to find it. Find it.
Outside of what you're saying.
Either outside the parts or oneness with the parts.
So I don't understand the oneness.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. The oneness with the parts would be if you have a cake that is made of flour, sugar. Now I have to leave out vegan cake, okay? Flour, sugar, margarine or oil. Vegan cake.
Chia seeds.
Chocolate, fruits, whatever. But let's keep it simple. So flour, the basis of flour, some liquid, water or soy milk, and sugar, okay? So if oneness with the parts means you find the cake in the flour, you find the cake in the sugar, you find the cake in the soy milk. Do you? No. So it's not oneness with the parts. Yeah? Is it totally separate from the parts?
No.
Why not?
Because without them, there wouldn't be.
Huh?
Because without the parts, there will be no cake.
Exactly. So if it would be totally separate, means here you have flour, the rest like flour, soy milk, sugar, and here you have a cake. And then when you put it in the oven, it comes together. It's ridiculous, isn't it? But this is how the eye appears. So let's go to the I, because that thing that it cannot exist separate from the parts. This is with these kind of things, cake or pen or whatever, is very easy to understand. Yeah, like these are the parts of the pen, so you can even have it with your visual consciousness. These 3 parts make the pen. They're only parts of pen. If I take the parts away, if the pen would be separate from the parts, there would still be something that I can say, oh, this is the pen. Okay? Now, our instinctive feeling of I or me, that when somebody accuses you in the wrong way, how does it appear to be? Does it appear to be oneness with the parts? Like, then you would have to ask, okay, who are you accusing? Are you accusing the mind or are you accusing the body? Does it feel like that? Don't think, like, feel it. I mean, this is it. If you analyze it, then you'll see how ridiculous the appearances is. How does it appear when somebody accuses you wrongly? Does it appear as if it is a little bit of the body and a little bit of the mind? And the same singular I. Like the same I, we use it for the body and the mind. Yet the body and the mind are totally different. So you would at least need 2 eyes. Or if the cake is oneness with the parts, you need a cake for the flour, you need a cake for the sugar, and you need a cake for whatever else. Does it appear like that? As being oneness with the parts, the I, yes or no?
Yes.
Huh? Yes. Definitely. You know, there's this kind of mix here. Whoa. Yeah. Because otherwise, if it's thief, you would say, oh no, the body didn't take anything. Yeah. Or no, the mind didn't plan anything. Yeah. Okay. In that moment, the whole lump is one. Everything mixed together. At other times it appears separate from the mind. Yeah, that it's something that, when we're very proud or something, it's like, it stands alone, autonomous. Yeah? And again, we look, is that possible? Then you should be able to take away the body and you should be able to take away the mind, and you still have an I. It appears like this, but it's not possible. Yes?
I'd like to challenge something that seems to me a bit artificial. Why do you divide the mind from the body?
Because the mind is that thing which is not material. Buddhism is doing that, okay?
Yeah, I understand, but if you take the mind body as a whole and look at it as unseparable.
Okay. Hand and foot are part of the body. The body is a whole, but the hand is not the foot, and the foot is not the hand.
The mind is a part of
Yeah.
the body as well.
And not really. I mean, this is what Buddhism would not posit like that. You can have this view, that is fine. The Buddhist view is they're connected with each other. The mind uses the body in order to perceive and all this. But the mind is not matter in Buddhism. And the body is matter, is atomically established. This is why it's not the same.
But if the body contains some kind of energy
Yeah?
described as mind, then they're all
Yeah. Of course, but it's still not the same. The impermanence of the plant and the plant are together, but the impermanence is not the plant, and the plant itself is not the impermanence. Yeah? Okay? That's just the Buddhist view. If you don't agree with it, it's fine. Yeah? It's fine. Because if the mind would be part of the body, there would be no rebirth. Rebirth. Because what goes to the next life is something that is not matter, because otherwise it wouldn't make sense. But again, that is the Buddhist view, and I know that in this country, or in the West in general, that the mind just continues and finds another form that is not so very much accepted. Except for exceptions. I grew up and I had this view that there's rebirth. I don't know where I got it from, because my parents are totally not spiritual. My surrounding was totally not spiritual. But for me, there's no question that I come from somewhere and I go somewhere. No question. And everybody thought I was a bit loopy.
Always, or even as a child.
Yeah. So if your kid starts to tell stories who he or she was in the last life, don't say, no, listen to it. Might see some remaining memories from past lives. Who knows? Or when your kid all of a sudden sits at the piano and starts to play. Happens. 3-year-old children playing like, or there's this small video on the internet, somebody who plays the battery like Keith Moon almost, and he's 2.5 years old. And you can see he does it totally naturally. It's not learned. And he has a lot of pleasure and a lot of joy in playing the battery. I think his name is Howard Wong, if I remember well. If you go into YouTube, if you're in a bad mood, or if you're depressed and sad, look at him. I mean, he's so cute. And he's like this. And he plays to a song. He plays the battery. He cannot have learned that in this life. Yeah? Huh?
The battery, the drum kit,
Yeah.
I don't think people
Exactly.
know how you play a battery.
Oh, not such a battery. Playing drums, a drummer. Like a rock star. Totally natural. Yeah. Totally natural. Okay, so then this, so we are a combination of body and mind, and the body you can divide it into body parts or organs or skin. There's 32 parts, they say, in the body, teeth, and this and that. So it's one entity, but it's not the same. But it's also not totally different because it's depending on it. Yeah? And the mind, you can also divide it in moments, for example. So the moment before, the mind moment before, and the moment now is not the same. They're just of the same nature. 2 drops of water, they're of the same nature, but they're not the same. So this is when they say things are not inherently one, nor inherently different. Yeah? Like 2 drops of water, they're not really the same, but they're also not really different, because they're of the same nature. This is what makes it really complicated and difficult, that there's nothing we can hold on to and say, like Ali is trying to find the truth. Maybe he found it in his dream. It's okay. Oh, he's still here. Yeah. There is no such thing as a functioning truth that is only itself. It's neither totally different nor totally the same. Things are not inherently one, nor inherently many. That's how it is. So then go and try to understand that, especially with a teacher like me, who cannot explain properly. Okay, so let's look if, as we said, let's look if the I, the me, is oneness with its parts. If it would be, the consequence of that would be what? Where did that come from? It's definitely not loud enough. Somebody made a sound, and it sounded like a male voice, but I didn't hear what it was. Was it you, Itzik?
Maybe permanent?
Huh?
Permanent?
It has to be permanent. Why? No, body is not permanent, mind is not permanent. Doesn't have to be permanent. But we would need, at least need 2. Because as I'm saying, body and mind are not the same. They're one entity if you want, but they're not the same. Because the body is a matter and the mind is not matter. Consciousness is not matter, one would say in Buddhism. Yeah? So you need 2. You need one who says, I'm cold, and you need another one who says, I am hungry. I am sad. Yeah, you would need 2. And you would find, if the I, and we'll do the meditation afterwards, maybe it becomes clear, you would have to feel that I am the body. if it is oneness with the body, do you feel that you are oneness with the body?
Yeah.
Do you feel that you're the body? Yeah? Okay. Sometimes. But if it really exists, then it's always. Yeah, if this is a pen, then it's always a pen.
What is making a logical jump? Why?
Huh?
Why, if it exists, it has to be always? Why is a spider out there? Why would you not believe the
Exists
eye?
truly. Wait.
Why
If
would
it
you
exists
believe
truly.
the feeling, the touch, and not the eye? Why can't they be both? The spider be out there, you see it. It's down there, you can feel it. Both, they're all senses. Why would you prefer one sense on the other?
Because neither one exists truly.
Truly.
Yeah, truly. We're talking about true existence here. We're not just talking about existence. And this is what one forgets in these discussions. We're talking about real, true existence. The spider on top has no function. If it would be a real spider, down there, it would have a function. But even that one is not real. Because in order to be a spider, you also need a mind that perceives it. Okay? So instinctively, again, let's go to the instinct. Instinctively, if the I is the body, if the I, the self, is oneness with the body, you would have to say, I am the body. Do you feel like that? No, I don't think so. Otherwise, if somebody said, oh, I love you so much because the body is so beautiful, you'd be okay, you'd be happy about this. But because you don't know the body, you're not so happy about this. Why? Do you only love my body? Or that body? You see, just the way we talk, my body, my mind. Who? Whose body? Whose mind? And then we go, well, mine. But what is this I? What is this mind? This is the question here. And we definitely, we desperately try to find something, but when we look, it becomes more and more confusing, this whole thing. If something really exists and you start to look for it, and it has to become clearer and clearer and clearer. Here with this, you go, no, it's not that, but it's also not that, and therefore it's not that, and like this, like this, like this.
We find it by the functions.
Huh?
We find it by the functions of it. Depend. We define the pen by the functions of it. When you take it apart, it's a part of a pen. Of a pen. Because when you put it together, it's a pen. What makes it a pen? Because it functions like a pen.
What is the function of a pen?
Well, you can write with it, you can...
What else?
Depend on your purpose.
What do we do with a
I
pen?
can sting.
What do we do
someone
with a pen? Huh?
You can sting someone with a pen. I don't know.
Okay. But it's basically the main function of a pen is to write.
Yeah.
Like this, yeah?
Yeah.
Is this a pen?
Depend on the function.
Yeah, yes or no? You see
It's a
this?
word.
No, wait. It's only words. Yeah, you're right. It is only words. But we try to go beyond the words, how we feel. And then this is it. This is what I'm saying. The more confused you are, the closer you come to what really is there. Do you see what I mean? Yeah? Because this can be anything. This can be something to clean your ears.
Right.
Yeah? So that's why it's not a real pen. The pen is nowhere. The pen is the label for these parts. But this is not a right part to call it pen. Convention, words, as you say. And we make the words truth. Our confused mind makes it a true, real pen. This not. It depends. Again, you want to sell this to somebody as a pen. For you, this is a pen. The person who buys it says, this is not a pen. When does a forest become a forest? One tree? Two trees? Yes, no? Just yes, no. When we when we investigate existence, then you have to go yes or no. Otherwise, you never get there. Yeah. 2 trees is a forest.
No.
3 trees.
It's dependent
Four.
on the
4.
No,
10.
It is relative.
An existing, truly existing forest. 10 trees? For some, yes. For some, no.
For scaring a child, no tree is a forest.
Huh?
For scaring a child, for writing a story, no tree is a
We're not
forest.
talking about children here.
It's words.
It is words. This is what I'm saying. This is what we have to understand. Our words create the thing. But we mistake the thing to be real. There's a real forest there, and there if you burn it. If the forest burns, nobody just says it's just words. And there's a real forest burning, like in the Amazon at the moment. Yes.
after yesterday meditation, when I felt the eye here very clearly, I could do it right now also. And I can say that what I feel is something that is connected to the body and to the mind. And I don't know what is the mind, but I know that it's not part of the body. I think it's comfortable for me to feel or to understand that the mind is everywhere connected to the body. Like connected to meridian, connected to the breath, I don't know exactly.
Connected to the lamp up there also when I look at it.
To the
Lamp up there.
the eye, the mind. Yes,
When
if I
I look
absorb it. Anyway, today it's much more difficult for me to say that it's not connected to the body and the mind, because I feel it is very much connected. And it doesn't have to be separate. No, it's part of it. It's part of it is mind, part of it is body.
Exactly. Sometimes we feel as if it's part of it. Sometimes we feel that it's totally separate when we're sad, depressed, frightened. This cannot be that we have a feeling of one eye, and sometimes it feels like that, and sometimes it feels like that. This is why I'm saying we need at least 2 eyes. You see, it's not about comfortable here. It's not about feeling comfortable. It's about being logic. And it's actually quite simple, but because we are so complicated, and our view what it is that we never questioned is so strong and so solid. It is so solid. Yeah? We're so convinced that this is how it is because we never examined it. Yeah? So how can something that you feel is one, it's a very good example that you gave, how can something that you feel is one, you have one eye, you don't have 2 eyes, because otherwise you would ask which eye you want when you talk to me. We have a feeling of a singular one eye that we identify with, okay? So if that one exists, how can it then sometimes feel totally connected to the body and sometimes feel separate from the body? This is why its existence, it exists, but not as oneness with the body, nor separate from the body. Sometimes it feels, yes, it's everywhere, you know, and that's the conventional eye. But then the dominant eye comes up. I want this. You know, the conventional eye is hungry, goes there. It's actually the mind, but we can also call it conventional eye. It goes there and looks what is there, and then it starts to eat. Then the dominant eye comes, hey, but this I don't like, and this I don't like, and I want this, and this, and this, and this, and that. Yeah? When you are very angry or full of desire, then you feel it. The separate eye, who loses all reasons, who becomes very attached to this person is a bad person and they need to get out of my way. This is the problem. It exaggerates this dominant eye. That one, we're looking at that one. We're not talking about the conventional one. Yeah, I mean, it's not easy to understand, and don't think that you will understand it just by hearing it once. I said it took me maybe 2 years